Antarctica is one of the most mysterious corners of our planet. The continent is famous for its harsh conditions, incredible landscapes, and vast expanses. However, scientists have recently discovered something in Antarctica that goes beyond ordinary perception. You are watching Topfacts Black, and today I will tell you about incredible discoveries in the ice that are hard to believe. Enjoy the video, and of course, let's go! Few people know, but under the icy cover of Antarctica lies an incredibly beautiful and mysterious world. Many scientific expeditions head to this region to explore the living and lifeless world beneath the ice. One such expedition recently returned with a stunning discovery. Scientists uncovered a huge cave at a depth of 1,700 feet below the Earth's surface. When researchers lowered their camera into the icy tunnel, they could not have imagined the breathtaking sight of thousands of tiny particles hidden in the depths. The water surrounding them was so clear it seemed like they were melting into the air. But suddenly, strange obstructions appeared in the video image, hiding part of the beauty underwater. At first, the team thought the equipment had malfunctioned, but after closer examination, they realized that an entire army of small crustaceans known as amphipods had been hiding in the camera lens. Let me invite you to enjoy this amazing sight right now. No one expected to see something like this in Antarctica. This waterfall seems out of this world. Its water is red like blood. It flows from a height of more than 100 meters and collects in a lake, coloring it bright red. Some scientists suggested that the color of the water is due to a high iron content, but studies revealed that this is not the case. The water contains many microorganisms that live in extreme conditions and have a red pigmentation. What do you think is really flowing from the foot of the mountain? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's move on. On Yamanan Beach at Cape Sharif, bones dating back 2 centuries were discovered. But that is not the most surprising part. Their origin remains a mystery. Only fragments of the skeleton were found, making it impossible to determine the species of the animal. However, we can assume it was a large mammal that lived here long before us. Some suggest it was a large marine mammal that once inhabited these waters. However, no definitive conclusions have been drawn yet. Despite this, the discovery of these bones has become a significant finding and may help decode the history of the animals that lived here many years ago. However, this was not the first mystery associated with Antarctica. Back in the year 1870, mysterious ice holes were discovered on the Greenland ice cap. They had strange shapes and left everyone who saw them in awe, but the question of how they formed remained unanswered. There were many hypotheses, but none could explain how these holes were created. Research continued for many years, but the answer has yet to be found. This mystery remains unresolved to this day. A team of American scientists discovered a strange hole in the ice, the size of a football field, but when they began investigating it, they found something astonishing. The hole was completely empty, as if someone or something had removed everything inside. No traces of living creatures, no artifacts, no debris, just smooth, icy walls. Naturally, many started speculating about what could have happened in this place. Some hypothesized that an artifact from ancient civilizations might be hidden here, while others suggested alien intervention. Yet, no one has been able to find an explanation for this mysterious hole in Antarctica. In the year 2012, a group of scientists discovered something amazing on the icy surface of Antarctica. It was a meteorite belonging to the category of Martian meteorites called Allen Hills. It was named after the area in Australia where it was found in the year 1969. But what scientists found in Antarctica was extraordinary. This meteorite was not just rare, it was the oldest Martian meteorite ever found on Earth. Its age exceeded 4 billion years, making it older than most of Earth's rocks. Next, let's discuss the Ross Ice Shelf in Antarctica, which sings. This amazing natural object was named after the legendary Soviet geologist Valery Ross, who first described the phenomenon. This glacier emits an unusual sound that can only be heard underwater. It produces sound waves reminiscent of singing caused by changes in pressure and water currents. Scientists believe this sound may play an important role in the lives of marine animals. The next discovery involves microorganisms in Antarctica that feed on wood and oil. Scientists found them in deep ice pits. This surprising discovery is remarkable because Antarctica is known for its extreme cold and lack of wood and oil. However, these microorganisms manage to adapt to these conditions and use other sources of nourishment. Scientists suggest that these microorganisms may hold the key to understanding how life can exist in Antarctica's conditions and might help create more efficient technologies for energy production and environmental cleanup. Earlier in the video, we talked about small fish at great depths. Scientists discovered unusual transparent fish in these waters that had never been seen before. These fish have an extraordinary ability to survive without food for many years by recycling their own organs and tissues to stay alive. The scientific community was amazed by the research on these remarkable creatures and their abilities. What do you think? Myth or reality? Share your opinion in the comments and let's move on. Researchers found something even more mysterious and captivating in Antarctica: pyramids. Massive pyramids were discovered within glaciers, attracting the attention of many scientific communities worldwide. Some scientists claim these pyramids might be linked to ancient civilizations, perhaps cultures we do not even know about. Others believe these pyramids indicate that Antarctica was once a thriving and lively place. A scientific expedition traveled to Antarctica to study the deep ocean and its inhabitants. None of the scientists could have imagined they would encounter such unusual creatures. Giant worms, over 2 meters long and about 15 centimeters thick, were found deep in the ocean. They lived in the ground, fed on organic material, and had unique mechanisms to withstand cold and pressure. Scientists were astonished by the size of these creatures and conducted numerous studies to understand how they survive in Antarctic ocean conditions. It turned out that the worms have special proteins that protect their cells from freezing and help them survive in extreme conditions. This discovery was one of the most incredible and significant in the world of science. The Shackleton expedition was a great challenge for humanity, not only because it took place in one of the most challenging locations on Earth. The ship Endurance sank in the ice of Antarctica, leaving Shackleton and his team with no hope of rescue. But Shackleton did not give up. He and his team continued their journey on foot, crossing icy mountains and glaciers, fighting hunger, cold, and extreme conditions. They covered 1,126 kilometers to the nearest settlement to save their lives. The story speaks of incredible endurance, determination, and true heroism. The discovery of the oldest sperm cell on Earth. It was in Antarctica that scientists found the fossil of this tiny creature, which lived on Earth 50 million years ago. Despite its small size, this sperm cell is of immense importance to science. Its discovery has allowed scientists to delve deeper into the evolution of living organisms on Earth and understand how the animal world has changed over millions of years. The next discovery cannot be compared in size to the previous one. It happened very recently and is related to the largest iceberg ever recorded in Antarctica. Its area is more than 5,000 square kilometers, roughly equivalent to the size of Belgium. This massive ice chunk broke off from a glacier in the year 2017 and began floating in the waters of the Southern Ocean. The discovery of this iceberg not only amazed scientists, but also raised serious concerns about climate change on the planet. Large icebergs in Antarctica can cause severe storms and tides, which in turn could worsen the climate and raise sea levels. This is a fruitcake found several meters deep under the ice. Personally, this discovery felt like a frozen-in-time piece of history. The team of scientists was astonished by this finding. The cake was carefully packed in an aluminum container hidden deep in the icy layer. No one knows how or when it got there. However, scientists conducting the analysis claim the cake was baked over 100 years ago. What a mystery uncovered in Antarctica. But that was not all. The second finding exceeded all expectations. A skeleton of an unknown animal was discovered, which scientists named the King of Antarctica. The skeleton was so enormous that no one could believe such a creature ever existed on Earth. It was a massive beast with colossal tusks as large as human ribs. It raised many questions that no one could answer. Moreover, it was found just a few meters beneath the ice, just like the fruitcake. Could they be connected? Could it have been an animal that went extinct thousands of years ago? We do not know. The head of a mummy princess, which was found in the permafrost in the 12th century. This was a true shock for archaeologists, as no one expected to find such a valuable artifact in such good condition. The head became a unique discovery that allowed scientists to study the history of ancient civilizations. The mummy's head shows that women in those times played an important role in society and held high social status. The second find was the remains of a young foal discovered in Zrenba. This location is in Siberia and is home to a rare species of horse known as Equus linensis. The remains of the foal were incredibly well preserved, thanks to being frozen in ice for over 40,000 years. This discovery provided scientists with valuable information about the lives and behavior of ancient horses that lived in Siberia during the Ice Age. Studying these remains allowed scientists to better understand how these horses survived in harsh climatic conditions and how they influenced the lives of ancient people, who used horses for various purposes, including hunting and transportation. Forest rangers responsible for preserving nature's treasures in the Himalayan mountains discovered a small cave containing heaps of human bones. In this area, inhabited by various tribes, these bones may be linked to religious rituals, cult practices, or military conflicts. Scientists who studied the remains suggest that they date back to a period when the inhabitants of these mountains struggled to survive in conditions where natural resources were very limited. What do you think? How old are these bones? Share your thoughts in the comments, and let's move on. Recently, scientists found a frozen cave lion that had been lying in the ice for over 28,000 years. This was a stunning discovery because such finds are rare. The lion was in excellent condition and had all its organs intact, giving scientists a unique opportunity to study it and obtain new data about the life of cave lions. Most likely, the cub was crushed by a landslide, which is why its body was so well preserved. Scientists are conducting numerous tests and analyses to study this frozen lion and gather additional information about its life and diet. This discovery will help us better understand how animals adapted to Ice Age conditions and survived in such extreme environments. Frozen remains of a mammoth were discovered on Lykov Island. This island is located in the Arctic Ocean and was once connected to Asia by an ice bridge. During an expedition in 2010, several parts of the frozen mammoth's body were found, having been in the ice for over 20,000 years. They were well preserved thanks to the icy layer that protected the body from decay. Scientists worked extensively to extract the remains from the ice and send them for analysis. Surprisingly, some of the mammoth's internal organs, including the brain, were found inside the discovered remains. A frozen bird carcass from the Ice Age was found near the village of Berir in 2018. This event happened recently and has already caused much excitement in the scientific community. The carcass was discovered in excellent preservation due to its burial in ice. One of the amazing aspects of this find was that the bird was discovered in its natural environment. This allowed scientists to study the surroundings and determine the conditions characteristic of that period. The bird carcass was studied using modern scientific methods, including genetic analysis, which revealed that it was a new and previously unknown bird species. An alligator is a large reptile found in the southern states of the United States, particularly in North Carolina. Typically, alligators live in water and feed on fish and small animals. However, this time, the animal was found frozen in ice. This was so unusual that the case attracted the attention of local residents and became a subject of media interest. Alligators generally cannot tolerate the cold and lose mobility when water temperatures drop below 20 degrees Celsius. Therefore, the fact that an alligator froze on a beach in summer is both astonishing and incredible. Ice statues along the Alaskan coastline are unusual formations created naturally. They formed over many years due to the accumulation of ice, minerals, and salts, as well as the impact of temperature, wind, and other factors. They come in various shapes and sizes. Some resemble people or animals, while others are abstract sculptures. Remarkably, some statues feature details so fine and precise that it is incredible. When scientists began studying these ice statues, they found traces of animals and vegetation on them, indicating that these statues were created thousands of years ago during the Ice Age. It is important to note that this period ended approximately 10,000 years ago, making these ice statues unique testimonies of ancient times. Scientists have discovered a plant in Antarctica capable of coming back to life after being frozen for millennia. It is called the zombie plant because it literally resurrects from the dead. Scientists found it several meters below the ice surface. They managed to extract it and give it a chance to revive again. As it turned out, this plant had been frozen for over 30,000 years. To their surprise, scientists discovered that it was still alive and could revive after thawing. How is this possible, you might ask? It is due to the plant containing special substances that protect its cells from destruction at low temperatures. These substances also help it restore its functions after thawing. Norwegian archaeologists discovered ancient skis frozen in a glacier for more than 1,300 years. They were in excellent condition, as if they had been used just yesterday. Archaeologists learned that these skis were used during the Viking period and are among the oldest ever found in Norway. But how did these skis manage to remain intact for over 1,300 years? The answer lies in their protection from external influences by the glacier. Additionally, the icy layer helped preserve their shape and prevent material degradation. Despite their ancient age, they were in remarkable condition and appeared perfectly usable. This allowed archaeologists to conduct an experiment and attempt to use these skis in a real skiing competition to understand how ski-making technologies have evolved over the centuries. Imagine you are on an Antarctic expedition, far from civilization, and suddenly find a frozen notebook that has been there for more than 100 years. Captain Robert Scott conducted this expedition at the beginning of the last century, and the notebook was found only a few years ago. But it is not just any notebook. It is a genuine discovery that helped us better understand the lives and hardships of people who lived and worked in such harsh conditions. The notebook contains records from Robert Scott and his team during the expedition, as well as drawings and photographs of what they saw. They describe severe frosts, bad weather, hunger, and fatigue, but also the joy of achieving their goals. This discovery is a true time capsule that provides more insight into the history of our world. In Siberia, researchers discovered the remains of a puppy that was only a few months old at the time of its death. However, it was not just any animal. This puppy lived on Earth over 18,000 years ago during the last ice age. It was frozen in mud that was covered by snow and ice. At first, they thought it was merely old bones, but upon closer inspection, they saw that these were the remains of a small puppy. How did it end up in this mud? And why were its remains preserved in such excellent condition for so many years? These questions remain a mystery, but we know that this discovery has changed our understanding of life in ancient times. In the distant year 1914, the famous English explorer Ernest Shackleton set out on his third Antarctic expedition aboard the ship Endurance. Something tragic occurred during this journey. The expedition ended in disaster when the ship became trapped in ice and was destroyed in 1915. Shackleton and his team had to fight for survival in extremely harsh conditions. They lasted 105 days on the ice before leaving their shelter and embarking on a dangerous journey to safety. Over 100 years later, in 2021, a team of scientific researchers discovered the remains of Endurance on the seafloor. They found the shattered ship and several items left behind by Shackleton's team, still preserved on the seafloor, protected from the ravages of time. Another remarkable discovery was made by a stoker named John Torrington, who worked on a trading ship crossing the South Pole in 1920. During the expedition, he discovered that the snow beneath his feet glowed with a bright blue light. Amazed by this phenomenon, he decided to investigate further. After several weeks of research, Torrington and his team determined that the glowing snow was caused by the presence of a large amount of Antarctic crystal ice, which contained particles reflecting light. Antarctic crystal ice later became the basis for new materials used in the aviation, medical, and other industries. So scientists have found human remains, or rather traces of them, so it is time to uncover something related to animals. For example, there is the discovery of the Mount Owen claw. It was a giant, dinosaur-like talon still covered with flesh and scaly skin. The claw was so well preserved that it seemed to belong to a recently deceased animal. The archaeological team extracted the claw and immediately took it for analysis. The results were astonishing. The mysterious claw turned out to be the ancient remains of a Highland moa, a large prehistoric bird that went extinct several centuries ago. Divers discovered clothing in the melting glaciers of Switzerland, which are now under threat due to climate change. The clothing belonged to the Hogan culture, which lived in the area of modern Switzerland and Liechtenstein over 5,000 years ago. The Hogan culture is considered one of the most enigmatic and understudied ancient cultures of Europe, and this discovery of clothing has become a valuable source of information for studying its traditions, customs, and past life. The clothing was found to be in astonishingly good condition, preserved by the glaciers over the years, allowing many details and elements of its original design and construction to be examined. The mammoth yucca was discovered in Siberia in 2010 by a group of local hunters who found its body in the tundra of Yakutia. Scientists believe yucca was killed about 39,000 years ago when it was only 20 years old. Its body had been frozen in ice for many thousands of years, allowing it to remain so well preserved. Thanks to this, scientists were able to gain unique information about this ancient mammoth. For example, they studied the mammoth's cerebral cortex, which gave them insights into how its brain functioned and how it perceived the world around it. Additionally, scientists examined yucca's tissue and bone composition, which helped them better understand the substances and elements necessary for mammoth's survival. In 2018, a group of researchers discovered bears and their cub frozen in ice in Yakutia, northeastern Russia. The discovery was truly astonishing, as the bears had been frozen for over 40,000 years. One of the frozen bears was a female, and the other was her cub. Scientists studied their morphology, anatomy, and genetic material. They also determined that these were ancient bears that went extinct approximately 15,000 years ago. The bears were so well preserved that scientists could even see their whiskers and claws. A frozen mammoth tusk was found in 2014 in Yakutia, Siberia. This discovery was so well preserved that scientists were able to study its structure and chemical composition. The tusk had been frozen in ice for about 10,000 years. They discovered that the mammoth tusk was a vital tool for these animals as they used it for defense against predators and in competition. Mammoth tusks were also used for foraging and various ritual purposes. The next incredible discovery occurred in South Africa. Australian archaeologists found a frozen skull of an ancient human ancestor estimated to be approximately 2 million years old. Experts believe that these people had small brains and large teeth. The fossilized hominid skull was almost entirely preserved. What do you think? How can such a discovery help us, and can it help at all? In conclusion, these were the most shocking finds that no one has been able to fully explain yet. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see something similar, leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the Topfacts Black channel, and right now, check out one of the previous episodes appearing on your screen.